I came across these paper bag books probably 10, 15, dare I say even 20 years ago, probably not that long. I saw something similar at a cute boutique. I decided to do one of these for a baby gift, and I am using all kinds of colors, but I'm going with the theme of a pad of paper or a scrapbook kind of kit thing, and bringing in more of the muted, vintage looking kids themed items. I think these are maybe, what, 50s era? Something like that. So I'm going to show you sort of step by step how I did this. It's a super easy thing to make. It makes a great gift. All you need is some lunch size paper bags and whatever paper, book pages, scrapbook paper, cardstock, whatever you want to use to embellish your pages. I have a theme going on. You can mix and match. You can do it anyway, but let's go ahead and take a look on how to make a book like this. Coming this way. The first step in making your paper bag book is to fold your bags and arrange them how you want, and then connect them together. Do a sewing machine stitch. If your sewing machine's handy. I would like to have done that, but I didn't want to get out my machine. You can staple it like I've done. Might be a good idea to have these smoother edges on the outside. You could also do the kind of stitch that you do when you're making your homemade traveler's notebook insert, or like a signature for a junk journal, where you bind that together with floss or twine or wax linen thread. And then just determine before you connect it how you would like your pages to be. I like having a smooth front page, and by that I mean not having the bag bottom or flap on the outside. So I have just put these together where they kind of trade off. Also, depending on how you fold your bag, you'll get the flap on, and how you arrange them. You can fold the bottom of the bag inwardly or outwardly. So play around with that and pick out your favorite format and then connect them. I like to alternate them, and I stapled it, and I think that it makes a pretty good book to have these 10, let's see, is that what I have? I actually use 6 bags, but as you can see, it does kind of bulge out a little here, but that can be easily disguised with a little bit of lace or ribbon or something. If that bugs you though, use fewer bags, but I wanted to have a little bit more space for photos or journaling or whatever the recipient wants to add. So I'm just going to leave that because I like a little bit of heft to this book, and it'll get even chunkier as you have seen when we add our paper. The next step after you've arranged your bag, and then cut a bunch of 5x5 squares, and keep your scraps because you're going to use those. I would get a glue stick ready or a handy, easily dispensed bottle of glue, and just have fun laying down the full-size pieces as much as you want. Something I'm noticing as I'm decorating my pages is that it works really well if you take one of your squares and use it for the pages that have the flap. I love this, and that works really well. I'm just saying I love this print. I'm not finishing my sentences. So see, you have your square, but that of course won't work there. You could fold it over if you want, so that it's kind of front and back and a little bit goes over to the flap. But I prefer this for my book. I am just taking one of my 5x5 squares and cutting off, let's measure that. Let's measure how much I'm cutting off. About 2 inches. So you have 3 and 2. So you can cut everything 5 inches, and then you can dissect those further if you need to. So I think this looks really neat. to have that like that. You get a little bit of the bag effect, which is part of the cuteness of this, and then you can just fold it. But when it's like this, it looks like pretty much like a full page. This gives you some journaling room. You could, if you would rather, fill in this whole flap with your cardstock or decorative paper, wrapping paper, whatever. But I'm going to go for this because I'm all about simplicity. I don't know, people have different styles and different personalities. I love to create, but I don't like to be bogged down in the process. I guess you could say I like quick results. So I would take slight imperfection for quick results. Okay, trying again. A few times I was about to flip through and realize I didn't have all my squares in. Let's just take a quick look. Mix of directions there. This is a little wonky piece I need to trim up, but you get the idea. I've mixed sometimes more of a picture and more of a pattern. I really like the mix here. It's kind of like a patchwork-ish. This is definitely my favorite print of all of it. There you go. I mean, see that almost, you can't even tell. So a lot of fun picking out which things are going to go together, but I find that it's so handy to use up these little pieces that you might have gotten when you're cutting your paper. So here I had two bandana looking ones instead of these matching. Still works. And then there's the back cover, like the front cover. So then you just want to cut as many, or you could have done this when you're cutting your original squares, but for me, I need to go back and cut pieces to insert in the pockets. I think that I may just do a single insert because what I'm thinking could happen is it could get pretty bulky, and you know how junk journals get, or a journaling Bible, it starts to, you know, be that alligator mouth kind of thing. So I'm thinking maybe gluing those down and then just having one piece to put in there would be good, because you're also going to add photos to this that will bulk it up as well. So I'm going to add my little piece here. I cut this little parade man. He's pretty cute, but I think that's a little thicker than I want, and it's kind of going over. But something about, again, 5 inches tall for here. And ooh, you know what? That. Yes, I like that. I'm going to put that there. Something different in the middle. Cut my 5x5 inserts and glue down the flaps so they're easier to deal with maybe. But I kind of like that bag look, so I'm not sure, but I'll show you when I'm done. But this would be my next step, is to add this and kind of give that a finished look, and then do the center one. I will be back after. You don't have something that already has stickers or these like little pop-out pieces. You can use whatever you want. I mean, stickers or ephemera pieces you have in your craft supply stash. So really anything. But what I did with this to just make it more themed was to use all the papers and stickers and these little tab label type things. It's really a nice kit, and I love how all the papers work together, but it could be any combination. So let's just take a quick look at what the book looks like. I know I've done this as we've worked our way through, and I feel like I've been all over the place because one daughter called me, one daughter came over with her baby, and we went for a walk, and then my husband and I went out for dinner. So it probably will have a very uncohesive feel, but at least you'll get a little bit of the process. So after doing those squares and the larger vertical rectangles, I put the spine on, which I really am happy that I chose this. I love how that goes with it. In the middle, I did this piece. I will go back and probably glue down some of these little spots again. That'd be a perfect thing to do when I'm watching TV later. Kind of mindless work that If you're like me, maybe you enjoy watching TV, but you also feel like you could be doing something else. So that will satisfy the urge to relax and accomplish at the same time. Anyway, I added these little kinds of tabs. They're all part of the scrapbook kit. I added on these. Some of these are glue-ons and some are stickers, but just to embellish more of the pages. And this can be used really however the person wants to use it, but I'm thinking pictures. So whether you get those printed at like Walgreens or something, or if you just want to print off your own pictures, and then you can even do those little ones. I have, let's see, what is it, like a Canon IV, something like that. Anyway, you can print off your own pictures and stick them in, or print them on regular paper and stick them in. The way I, kind of came into photography was like 4x6s or whatever. Now you can get all different sizes, or, cut them down. So I went ahead and embellished the pages, thinking it's likely that many of the things put on here will be home printed pictures that can be adjusted by size. So I didn't worry about that too much. And I feel like adding these little touches gives an overall very inviting look to the page. All these prints or pictures, whatever, are really very cute, but I just think the little accents make it even more so. Anyway, back to the tab, added that. And so it just kind of shows that here's a place to lift up writing here or attaching whatever. Basically, I feel like this is a photo album, but if you used more, or scrapbook, if you used more plain sheets, it could be a lot better for journaling. And I added a tab that also came with the set, and I put one scrapbook page in each of the open slots. And on each of those, I added a couple of the stick-ons or glue-ons. And there's a nice hunk of journaling or places for photos on each of those. The little tabs also, you can, if you're making one for a gift, you can kind of pull them out just a little bit. I probably should have glued them on a little bit more, where they kind of stuck out the side a little bit more, but I didn't. So again, same idea. All these things coordinate so well. One thing I'm contemplating is to take one of my favorite Sharpie pens and maybe outline some of these things, or take a white, got one right here, one of these Jelly Roll white writing pens, or a Posca white paint pen, and either highlight some of these in black or white so they pop just a little bit more. The thing about that is, once you do it to one, you have to do it to all of them. As I said, that's sticking up a little bit there. Did I do a tab? Yes, here's the tab on this one. They kind of sink in there, but it still adds a nice embellishment. You can also do your tabs where that little bag cutout is, sort of like a half circle shape, and they could all be centered in the middle, but I kind of tapered them. Didn't do a tab here. Maybe I want to. Maybe I'll put that one on. Let's do that real quick. The fun thing about these themed sets too, as I have mentioned, is how well everything works together. And you get the idea. This is really fun to do if you don't get restless with it. So sometimes taking a little break, because it's a lot of the same things over and over, but it all looks a little bit different when you use different themed paper. But it makes such a cute little memory album or photo album. So I really like how that turned out. There's a front view. You can see the tabs. I'll let that one glue for a little while. Other things you could do. So depending on your paper, of course, you could make a Christmas themed, maybe a December daily around this. Just incorporate a lot of plain paper for writing. But as you could see, you could just adhere so many things for the Christmas season. You could do a gardening themed or floral or botanical book. I have a book right here that I bought at Goodwill for like $3 a few years ago, and I'm always using pictures out of that for junk journals. But you could just do all plain squares and then embellish with something like this. You could do a book for kids or grandkids or a niece or nephew, or give it as a baby gift, which is what this is going to be. You could do a gratitude journal, a prayer journal. If you're studying a particular book, maybe you want to make a themed study guide for yourself. Or if you're going through a Bible study of some sort, you could take your notes in here. Or if your church is going to, say, do a book of the Bible for a month or something, you could have a themed book to go with the theme of the study. You could do favorite poetry or quotes written in a book like this. You could commemorate an outing or a short trip. It probably wouldn't be for a real long trip, but again, it depends on how you choose to decorate your pages and what kind of paper you use. If you need more writing space, just use more plain or adhere some plain paper on top of the decorative ones. So that is the book. I hope you like this idea. I just love these little books. I've made several of them in the past, and it recently occurred to me to make another because my daughter was asking, what can I do? What kind of scrapbook can I make for my boyfriend and I? Our 1-year anniversary of dating's coming up. And we kind of brainstormed, and then I remembered these, and I said, go buy some bags and add your few photos and your memorabilia, and then you've got a nice memory book. So you can make this as short or as long as you need to. Again, keeping in mind that it will start to bulge. And this is already, if you set it down, it'll do that. You could put some of those grommet or eyelets or whatever they're called, and maybe this would be a cute one to have some twine. I could also puncture a hole through here now, have a long strip of twine or like jute, and then you just could bring it out and wrap it. Could be a couple of different options there. So anyway, there you go. I hope that inspires some creativity or gets the creative juices going. Sometimes we just need some inspiration. We're feeling creative. We're not sure what we want to do, and an idea will click. Maybe something like this will work for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.